I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, February the 15th, and it looks like another Friday showdown again. Really hard saying where the market's going to be. I imagine the sellers are going to try to get 127 or 28. Last week was kind of a flop, and maybe the cattle feeders got put in their place a little bit last week when the Packers were all but begging them to take 126. They wouldn't take 126 after hoping to get 125 for weeks and weeks there, and then ended up kind of having an incomplete trade there. So they're looking to sell a lot of live fat cattle negotiated down in the Southern Plains on Friday here. What it's going to be, we don't know. 126 is pretty much guaranteed. That's right where the board closed on Thursday. They'd sure like to get 127 or 128, but probably will be a little bit easier to trade with than they were last week. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let you guys know when we talk on our weekend visit. Look at the board for Thursday. February live cattle futures up 17 cents to end the day at 126.12, and we kind of thought they'd settle right in about there because they'd come off quite a bit with all the delivery pressure that we had this week. April live cattle futures up 40 cents at 127.37. March feeder cattle up 55 at 144.07, and April up 42 at 146.05. Like I said, we haven't had any set price for fat cattle yet. We've seen quite a bit of trade in Iowa. They kind of quit doing that for a month or two there, but kind of come back this week and sold several cattle. Through Thursday, they had sold about 6,900 cattle in Iowa. And that would kind of be enough to set the market, but with nobody else, the other four areas not really trading, I would assume they would probably get more money if the other the five areas could get more money. But they've traded several cattle right in there about 124 and 199 to mostly $200 dressed. Box beef cutout values have kind of been lower so far this week. Choice cuts on Thursday afternoon, 216.07 down 37 cents. Selects at 210.41 down $1.60. Your slaughter is going to be quite a bit lighter this week than what we prefer. It's been lighter so far this week, and then we've known that Cargill Fort Morgan's going to be mostly shut down here for the rest of the week. They've got some upgrades to do and some things to get fixed in there, and then that's going to bleed over into the first part of next week, and so it's going to be light again, and it doesn't look like any place else is picking the slack up enough. But through Thursday, 459,000. That's 11,000 less than last week and 6,000 less than the same week a year ago. If you guys might want to be thinking about next week on Thursday, Primetime Video is going to have a big special sale. It's going to be one that they have at the Downstream Casino over in Quapaw, which is just west of the barn at Joplin there, and it's a nice facility and a good place to have a sale. But on the 21st, next Thursday, they're going to have a sale. They're going to have lunch at noon if you want to show up for that, and the sale at 1 o'clock. They're expecting about 12,000 head on there. They're still getting everything put together, but Colby Flat did tell me that they do have 14 loads of cattle off eastern New Mexico wheat pasture, and I've had my share of trying to take care of those things, and that's a tough way to serve the Lord. Those cattle be hard. It's been dry over there, and the only windbreak they've had is a thin wire for about 200 miles. So those cattle sure be hard and be ready to perform wherever you want to take them. But don't miss Primetime Sale next Thursday. You can go to their website and view and bid it, or you can view and bid at dvauction.com. Let's talk about some sales that happened on Thursday. Pratt livestock auction, 4,300 head in Pratt. Feeders are mostly $2 to $4 lower. If you look at this Cattle Market Central market report, you look at your best tested weights of steers, 645 head of steers in the 7 weight category, average 753 at 141.26. Your 8 weights, there were 954 head of those, averaged 842 at 139.60. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 4,200 head there, and I talked to a friend of mine that was there at the sale, and he was sending me quotes late in the day, you know, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I said, man, you guys should have been out of there, because I've been at that sale when they've had a lot bigger runs, and they was out of there. And he said, well, they was shut down for about 2.5 hours. And I said, well, what was the deal there? And he said, well, you can blame it on Trump, because Stormy Daniels was performing. She's a headliner at the Shady Lady strip joint across the road there. If you guys have been to Salina, you've seen it over there. And they were needing extra ice, and the ice truck backed up, hit the power line, knocked it down. That's one of those third rock from the sun deals. But anyway, they did have a shutdown. I said, you got to be kidding. He said, you can't make this stuff up. But that's what happened at Salina. They were shut down there for a few hours there, and it did get them late getting all their cattle sold. But he said the market was better there, steady to $3 higher on most tested weights. Didn't have a good test on the heifers, but sure enough on the steers. Told me about a load and a half of steers that weighed 784 pounds at 149.75. Mitchell, South Dakota had a big sale there. They were still selling late in the night, but I pulled this Cattle Market Central market report. At that time, they had sold near 8,000 cattle, so they were expecting 9, I think, so they were getting the bulk of them sold anyway. But if you look at this market report, you can see the most popular feeder weights were $1 to $2 lower, but calves were higher, some sharply higher on some of those steer calf weights. But look at the most popular tested feeder weights on the steers. 1,240 head of 7-weight steers averaged 764 at 146.33, and then well over 1,000 head of 8-weight steers averaged 843 at 139.49. And I tell you what, just since it's been this bitter cold, ever since that bitter cold snap started, they haven't been able to sell them heavy feeder weights as well as they were before. And if you look at those 8 weights averaging 139.49 all the way down in Pratt, Kansas, their 8 weights average just a pinch better than that, and you hardly ever see that. But on your feeder heifers, 1,237 head of 7-weight heifers average 742 at 134.71. Give you a couple of individual quotes. Presho, South Dakota, 69 head of 727-pound steers bring 155.25. And Billings Livestock Auction, or Billings Live, BLS, they like to call it, 75 head, 613-pound steers bring 169, Billings, Montana. That's your feeder flash for Friday.